Hello, everybody. Today we will be talking about the introduction to toxology, and this can be found in chapter 10 of your textbooks, and it is lesson 1. And so today, for the objectives/goals, our goals are to define toxology and understand what makes something toxic versus non-toxic. And we're going to be talking about different fields of study within toxology and also the difference between a toxin and a poison. And then moving along, we are going to be talking about the different types of toxicity/poisoning, which are relatively the same thing. And then finally, we will be discussing the role of a toxologist and explaining a little bit more about what they do. So, what is toxology? Toxology can be defined as a branch of science that deals with the study of poisons/toxins, and typically toxology studies the nature and effects of those poisons/toxins. And with the poisons and toxins, they can either be toxic or non-toxic. And with toxic, that just means a substance that may cause danger to health/the well-being of the consumer. And then non-toxic means that the substance does not cause any danger to the consumer and that their health is okay. And several fields within toxology are environmental, clinical, medical, and forensics. So the difference between a toxin and a poison is that a toxin is formed within living cells/ microorganisms, which means that they are all natural. And typically a toxin will benefit the originator and be harmful to another living cell/organism. And a toxin is typically less available than poisons are. While on the flip side, a poison can either be natural or synthetic, and it is typically a chemical compound. And poisons can be useful to humans. It just depends on what type of poison it is. And the form that a poison can come in is a solid, liquid, or gas. And now both a toxin and a poison can be harmful to humans. And another thing that isn't mentioned, but I will say, is that a toxin is always a poison, but that a poison isn't always a toxin. And this is because of the toxin being biologic, while a poison can be both biologic and chemical. It just depends on what form it is. Okay, so a few types of toxicity/poisoning is acute, which means that a substance is typically taken in a large dose and the causes of the substance are immediate. It affects the health right away, and this is the most harmful due to the fact that the substance does not take long to affect whoever it is. And then subchronic is in the middle of acute and chronic. It just means that it is a short-term exposure to harmful substances and or chemicals. And this one is typically the most common due to the fact that someone may not know that they're being exposed to harmful chemicals. And so they won't do anything about it until maybe like 2 weeks later, they finally see the effects of the chemical on them. And so they finally decide to go to the doctor and they realize that they're being subchronically exposed to a chemical or a substance. And then a chronic is the long-term exposure to harmful substances/chemicals, and this can cause health effects over a long period of time. And so with chronic, a person may be exposed to a harmful substance for a very long time, for several years. and they may not know that it is happening, which is why um, it is long term, and the health effects may not show up until years later. And so the person may not know that this is even happening, which can also explain why it can happen for a long time and over a long period. So there are several roles of a toxologist, and so typically a toxologist will use their knowledge learned from the various sciences, and this includes biology and chemistry. And so they will use those various sciences to study how chemicals and other substances affect humans slash living organisms. And a toxologist may participate in sample collection of substances, which just means exactly what it says, that a toxicologist will go and collect samples of various substances and will study, which leads to the second bullet point of how they will study the substance and the potential for toxicity. And with that second bullet point, a toxicologist will may research a substance and see how it affects humans or potentially how it is good for humans. And several jobs that are within toxology, you have a forensic toxologist, a environmental toxologist, and an occupational toxologist. And one that I can speak on the most is a forensic toxologist, as they will study the chemicals and other substances um, within a dead body to see if that substance caused the person to die or if it had any effect on their behavior while they were still alive. And it is just the study of that drug to figure out whether or not it caused what happened to that person to happen. And so that is basically the rundown of this lesson. Here are my references in case anybody wants to go back and view what I went over. And so, yeah, that was a very short lesson. It was very easy material. Next time, we will be covering something else. I'm not sure what yet, but yeah, I hope everybody has a great day.